Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Unity Through Diversity. And today I have my beautiful teacher, guide, friend, sister, soul family, soul tribe, or however you want to name it. But she is one of this beautiful being that in my last 2 to 3 years, my own healing journey, that she definitely played a part of a role. And matter of fact, she gave me during one of our session, she mentioned the name of this podcast. Unity through diversity. And until today, I still have that recording. So welcome, Candice. Thank you for coming to this episode with me. I'm so excited.
Yes, thank you for having me. What a beautiful blessing to be part of this materialized gift and offering in the world that you are here to serve in such a powerful way. So I'm so glad to be part of that and join you today on this podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yes, usually I will have our guests to introduce themselves, yourself. However, I kind of want to be a little bit specific because we can introduce ourselves in any way, right? Now,
Mhm.
however, I kind of want to maybe you can introduce yourself anyway, but I want to kind of like have a little bit of like something about your childhood that you notice that you are very different from other people, not other kids.
Yes, yes. So my name's Candice Rasa. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also an Akashic channel. And I've been channeling the Akashic Record for over 12 years. And we can get more into that later. But let me think. I've always felt very serious. I'm a serious gal. I have like big dreams and I feel like I have a mission on this planet. And when I was young, I used to carry around like a backpack that had all of my gear in it to like save the world. I had like a radio station to communicate with my aliens, and I had a notepad. And my kindergarten teacher told my mom that one day I would be the president of the United States. And I was kind of thinking, that's too small, but that's a good start. That's a good start. But, I think I've always sort of taken myself seriously. I've taken and the work that we have here as humans very seriously, that what a precious gift we have to live on this planet, and we have work to do and we have healing to do. So that's sort of a glimpse into me, as a child.
Yes, because so interesting. They were asked her childhood. I never know a thing about her childhood. Okay, so you mentioned that because I know you a little bit. Your background is to me is I'm very curious because I like to understand how how different things work. That's one of my thing is why, how, get all mentally, but that's part of how we learn things, right? So I know you worked as social worker, right? And
Yes.
in jail for the people in the
Yes.
jail. So we're gonna talk about those like what you how you serve, how you channel right now. But I think that's a very important part of your life, right?
Yes.
To
Gosh,
how
huge.
yeah how did you at first place is like yes I'm gonna go to visit those people in the jail for work with them. Then because
Yeah,
not many people want to do that and we're willing to do that because it's
sure.
yeah so
Well, I'll start by saying for all the astrology buffs out there, I have a sun conjunct Neptune in the 12th house. And we know that 12th house is about institutions. So you either in jail or you work in the jail or you have some desire to be part of the institutions if you have a 12th house placement that's strong. And I do. So I found myself there, I didn't know that till after, but I found myself there through an urge and a calling. I did an internship when I was in my master's for social work that had me in the state attorney's office. And I was going into court every day, just learning as an internship for working with victims of domestic violence. And there was a ton of richness in that. And when I was in the courtroom, I would see them bring in the inmates all shackled together. They could barely understand the logistical, like fancy language of the lawyers and the judge. And I sort of wondered, like, well, what's happening with these guys? Like, where's their support, and how did the system
mm,
fail them? And I started, typical me, asking big,
yeah.
serious questions about that. So I went back and I asked the social workers at the state attorney's office, and they said, oh, honey, we don't care about the inmates. We don't work for them here. You'd have to go somewhere else, if you want to learn about that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go somewhere else and learn about that. So my next internship, I applied to work for a treatment center that served only the HIV positive population. So I worked there as an intern. I fell in love with the population of clients there. All of them were HIV positive. All of them had 10 to 20 plus year histories of incarceration. And they hired me after I finished my master's degree in social work. I then sort of found myself in the role as the assessment coordinator. So I would go into the jail, and it was my job to assess individuals to see if they were appropriate or not to enter this treatment program that I worked for.
Mhm.
And so I had these, very similar to how I do now, these conversations with people I don't know out of nowhere, actually in a jail cell, and just started chatting with them, and sort of, there's a combination of shaking down, loving on them, leaning in, understanding their stories. And man, I mean, that part of my life is my favorite job. I made under $30,000 a year. I could barely support myself for like over a decade, but it was the best job I ever had. It totally is responsible for my spiritual awakening, because as I began to hear the stories of the people behind jail, I began to really wonder how it was that we all came to be who we are, and how we entered the families we entered, and how is it that some of us have these less than traumatic lifetimes, and others of us have intensely traumatic lifetimes. And so, I had so much empathy and so much love for that population. It was very hard to leave that job, but it's definitely I mean, really my channeling started there also, because I remember distinctly being in this one situation with a client, and she was talking about sexual trauma, and she couldn't hear very well because she had been abused and her hearing was blocked. So we were sort of sitting an inch away from one another, and she was talking about her trauma, and the tears were streaming down her face. And I remember trying to suck in my own tears, because I was just, my heart was just so open for her. And she said, like, how do I, this man stole my life. How do I move on from this?
Mhm.
And I just like looked at her, and I like imagined my education and my license. None of that could help me in that moment, and
Mhm.
I kind of just reached up to God and said, help me help this person, be present for this person. And I think what I blurted out was, "You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm here for you now." And I think it was a powerful moment of validation that she needed. And it was a powerful moment in which I began to sort of ask or summon for the powers that be beyond me to come support me on my mission and healing. And that was the beginning. Certainly there's lots of other stories after that, but that was the beginning of like, it's got to be something else out there. Something, help me, anyone, help me in this moment. So that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, that's beautiful because I know there's something there, and actually you answered two questions I was going to ask. The kind of because one thing is I was always curious when was the turning point? Is this probably one of the turning point of you educated, you get yourself educated, right? You ask questions, you break it into, not break it into, but go into this different corner of the society that those group people are not being supported. You got yourself
Correct.
in.
Yes.
I have questions and things, and as this critical moment, you're like, okay, somebody help me, because what we learned as a human, we saw that, well, that's what we learned, get us where we at. But then you're like, that must be more, because what
Yes.
I learned doesn't help me right now. And also, is
Indeed.
that also related to later your Buddhism? Just
Yes. So, I mean, there was a lot of questioning that happened after that,
yeah.
right? So I went
Yes.
back and I said, well, there's got to be some education or some teachers or some books. So I started kind of diving into that everywhere.
Mhm.
And there was nothing local that I could find in in South Florida. And so I started looking beyond, and I found an institution, Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Western Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And they did a work exchange there. And it's an Eastern supportive educational institution. So that's really where I learned all of my Buddhist and Eastern philosophy. But I applied to go there, and I didn't think they would accept me, and of course they did. And then I had to like face the fact that like spirit's calling me out of my life. I was married at the time. I had this job I loved in the jail, and so I wrote this like emotional resignation letter, and I was like, I have to take this opportunity to grow and to expand. So like, please forgive me, I'm like stepping away from this job I love. And they said, well, we love you so much, and we think that what you'll learn there would be helpful for our clients. So we'll hold your job for you. Go for
Wow.
3 months and we'll come back to you. And I was just like blown away by that. So when I was there, I was like on a mission, like I took every metaphysical class, every Eastern class I could. I soaked it all in. I washed the dishes there. That was where they assigned me. And I was like, on my high heels and my social work and all the things. And they're like, you're going to wash the dishes, lady. And I was like, what? because they just like randomly assign you to a place. I remember I snot cried on a mountain for like a good 2 hours after I learned that. And then I got over myself and my ego, and I was like, let's do this. And then of course, you know, classical me, I just derived so much meaning and everything. I fell in love with the dishes, and I started like assigning all this meaning to them. Like there's a pot for every lid, such is life. There's a human for every purpose, right? All the things, wax on, wax off, big pots like carrots in your hair, cottage cheese. It was very Laverne and Shirley, like the dishes were coming on a conveyor belt and you have to pull them off. And it was like deeply physical. I would leave there sweaty and dirty. And I was like, this is great. Like I started loving it. Then of course, halfway through that, they like the director's like, we knew you were really sad about the dishes, but we have another opportunity for you since you were sad about dishes. And I was like, I don't know if I can leave the dishes now, you know? So then it was like, how could I walk away? But of course I knew I was there for experience.
Yes.
So if the universe was taking me to a new experience, I would say yes. I had to be in a season of yes.
Yes.
So I ended up working as a coordinator also there, like with a bunch of navigating with a bunch of different speakers. So I learned a lot about Buddhism and Eastern arts there for sure.
Yeah, but washing the dishes is one thing, you know, that's why I'm laughing so hard, because I'm from China, right? And I watch a lot of this Chinese movie, especially this like a monk, you know, when they come in with the strong ego, they will get to the dirtiest, you know, sweep the floor or wash the
That's
dishes
right.
or feed the animals, whatever it is. However, so the interesting is, once just like you, once you're loving it, start loving it, that's the time universe is okay, she get it, he get it, it's time to move her. So that's why I'm laughing so hard, is because that's the lesson.
It is. Oh my gosh. I loved it. I mean, I was so glad I went through that experience. It taught me so much. I fell in love with and we would all sit and meditate before washing the dishes and all set an intention for the night. It was like, you can't be more sacred than the dishes, you know, like it was
Yes.
perfect for me at that time.
Do you actually, after that, when people I don't know, in your relationship later, people maybe didn't really want to do dishes, you're probably gonna just be joking, say, hey, just let me tell you one thing about how I fall in love with dishes, so maybe gonna change your perspective of the thing we're doing.
The path to God is through the dishes, my friend. Through your own ego, and the path to God is through the dishes, indeed.
Yes. So I want to know a little bit more of the 3 months, you know, besides, you know, this is one of your lesson, you know, also have to face a lot of ego death. But
Yes.
this 3 months,
Oh my gosh,
what's the core of you, like name 2 or 3 things that's really, really change you, shake you, transform you, however you want to put it. But I know the 3 months, just not 3 months. You probably went through a lifetime of realization of downloads. It was like, wow.
Yes. So beautiful question. A few things happened there. I think one of the main things that happened in terms of my earthly form and my ego was I started to question my attachment to form, my attachment to the routines that I have, the relationships that I have in place that help me to feel safe and help me to avoid fear. And I started becoming much more aware of that and challenging that in myself. I was curious about cutting my hair. I had super long hair at the time. I was curious about my relationship and if it was feeding me in the ways that I deserved and needed and wanted to exchange. And so those beginnings started there. Only, you know, spoiler alert, later on when I finished my 3-month exchange, I went back to my ex-husband at the time and kind of was like, I don't think this is working. And P.S. I'm going to shave my head, you know, any day now.
You didn't shave the head there? You shaved the head later?
I shaved my head later. My husband walked into the house and I had a shaved head. I like ran into like a random mall on the way home from work and was like, today's the day. And I said, can you please shave my head? And they said, we're closing, but we'll stay open for that. And so they took it down to a 0 and I just showed up at home with a shaved head, and he never looked at me the same again, but it was okay because it was time for me to, like, I want to be a warrior of the work that I practice in my own life, and that was really powerful. So like this renunciation, right? This idea of like detachment and who am I, and identity and form and the attachments I have, like that was such a powerful thing. The other thing that I think was magical and unexpected was I didn't go there to be an awakened channeler or healer. I went there to find meaning in my life. I went there to be around people that could teach me about meaning in life. And I went on so again, I was in my commitment was I'm in a season of yes. So someone asked me, would you like to go on a full moon labyrinth walk at midnight? And I was like, yes, hell yes. Who would say no to that, right? So I march out to the field, it's midnight, and I can't even see the person in front of me. And we walk this labyrinth and this deep meditation. Then we sit around the center of this
Yeah.
labyrinth and they have a deck. And it was the first time in my life I'd ever seen an oracle deck. And they said, we're going to pass this deck around and you're going to sit with it. And I don't even know what to do. And I like pick a card. So I'm like pretending to know what to do. And I pull this card out. And as I pull the card out, my entire body went into chills and I could feel the whole deck vibrating in my hands. And it was a deck that I'll never forget. It's one of my favorite decks. Brian Froud, Fairies Oracle, and Solus. If you've ever seen that deck, Solus is this sun god, fairy elemental with these big blue eyes, this red fiery mane. It's very lioness. And the message was like, you are here to awaken yourself in the world or something. And I was just like, me, I'm just like a social worker. And it just blew me away. And I was so moved by that experience that I went to the gift shop the next day and bought the deck. And then while I was there, I was like in the coffee shop playing with the deck, and other volunteers from all over the world that were at Kripalu started asking me to do Oracle for them. And I had no idea what I was doing. I read I was like, you're supposed to lay them out like this and then whatever. So I was following the instructions and more people kept asking. And what started happening,
Yeah.
which started earlier when I was in the jail, but started happening much more at Kripalu, was that I was looking at the cards and I could hear and see the deities in the cards communicating with me. They started to just show up in my consciousness. And I believe I was sensitive in this way all along. I said to you, I was a very serious child. You know, my family, they grew up kind of, you know, lower middle class. And I knew I had to work hard to survive. And I think Kripalu offered me an opportunity at a season of my life where I finally felt safe and established enough to invite the divine in, where my sensitivities could be loved and respected and appreciated. And that community was that community for me. And because of the volunteers and that land and all the things, it just sort of coaxed out of me this interest in the divine and in an oracle. And I left there knowing that I would continue to take more training around these themes. But I think it was this gentle, subtle, soft, loving presence to invite me out of maybe the earthy, hardened cocoon of the serious girl. It invited me into the divine and the divine and the sacred on planet Earth. And I'm still serious, of course, but I'm serious about the shadow and about fear and about God and all the things before that I was sort of not awakened to.
Yes. Wow. That's beautiful, beautiful story. So in those 3 months, right? Like after you come back, you shave your head off. Of course, your life is already, transformed upside down, inside out. And I want to circle back is we always have those ability, right? But however, just like you said, when you don't feel safe, the things already around you, you're not aware. But once you're in there, you are actually more. Maybe we will talk about more grounded, right? Myself, when I'm always busy, I would go. But when I'm quiet, I can feel more things. So that's the point, probably, that certain moment you are focused, you are not busy, distracted around. You suddenly, oh, what is that? But when you look back now, your childhood, you probably were listening, communicating, but you do not know who you're communicating. But now right? They're coming back.
That's right.
Yes.
I was actually a very fearful child. I was scared of the dark. I was scared of the noises behind the closet. I was scared of things under the bed. I couldn't watch scary movies. And I really think at this point, I realized I was just a psychically sensitive child, but I didn't quite understand that. And so I was just very nuanced and connected to all those things.
Yes.
And once I started kind of in school, I'm like, okay, Capricorn ascendant, Capricorn moon, I kind of just go, right? Just do the things. So I kind of forgot about that Neptune conjunct sun and the 12th house stuff, the sensitivity stuff, and just did the concrete stuff. So it took me a while to come home to that.
Yeah, that's your foundation. I mean, Capricorn, I have, Gemini thing. So I've been busy, being play for most of my, being break rules. That's my thing. Later, I feel like I'm all tuning to my Scorpio and Cancer thing, right? I'm always sensitive. I don't like the dark. I remember I walk upstairs and my back was on the wall because I always feel something is behind me, like a sense of like something gonna get me. But nobody teach you that's the energy or something you're sensing. But people will say ghosts. So after no ghosts are gonna get me from my back for sure. Not even from, but at least I can see you, right? But now I look back, I was like, okay, I probably already picking up something, but I'm so scared. I was like, hey, don't get me, don't talk to me. I don't want to see anything about you, stuff like that. And I go through the graveyard, I always have body chill and I always feel something there. But you know, in our culture, we always share with you with this like people climb out of graveyard stuff like that. I always running like pass by that area, but now it's like actually I still can feeling maybe if I want tuning to I can who is there to
Yes.
communicating with me. But that time like I have nothing to do with that. I just go, you know. So okay, next question is because it's like I now you back, now you shave your head. Did you
Mhm.
back to the social work again?
I was, yeah.
And
And
for
I did
how
a
long?
lot of really intentional integrative work with them that was spiritual now, which was brand
Yes.
new for me because I learned all those tools. So I was doing things like journey dance and Reiki and guided meditation and crystal healing. And my director at the time was like, Candice, go. Just do whatever you want to do with these clients. We trust you. And the clients loved it. I mean, they found meaning, right? And I think there was this piece where I read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning during that
Right.
time, and I started to really understand like we can survive and experience almost any how if we have a connection to a larger why. And
Mhm.
these were people who had permanently etched records, HIV positive, a definite expiration date that was more looming in terms of their death from this form than most. And so we really leaned into spirituality as a way to feel connected and safe and held there. And I really honed a lot of those skills, I think, there. I had not yet learned the Akashic Records.
Yes, that's the
But
question.
and
Yeah.
that's the next question. I don't know if you want me to go there and where that comes next, but my personal life was up in shambles, right? Like
Yeah.
my husband at the time was like, I thought you were going to this spiritual place to get it out of your system and then you can come back and do all the things. And I was like, okay, well, I think I went there and it just like ignited the fire. It was like, it was the
Mhm.
opposite. It was the
Mhm.
beginning. It was not the ending. So we
Exactly.
sailed in different directions. He was my father and my brother in every lifetime prior. So I'm grateful to his support and sort of stability in my life, but I needed to fly and he's better off and I'm better off and we're friends today. But that was a crazy time in my life. And I was seeking trainings back as well
Yes.
um, when I got home. And that's when I heard about the Akashic Record.
Yes, yes, actually, see, that's what happens when I connect with the energy. You always will say the things I'm going to ask. That's how it works. So it's very in
Okay.
the flow. So the next question is actually later after you start doing the like Akashic channeling reading, did you go circle back to ask, not you, ask this group of people because you spend years with specific group of people. Was
Yes.
there something there that, like those specific group of people, the lesson they chose in this lifetime from Akashic, like that their point of view of how they interact with you? Of course, it's
Yes.
serve what you as step in to wherever you need to be, but also this specific group of people because now we can looking back. It's not people but they chose those lessons.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, when I was able to read the record and look back at that time in my life, there's this awareness that they were deeply seeking like worth, self-worth and
Mhm.
value and meaning in their form. And that through that mortality of the dis-ease, they were seeking that. A lot of them also had had some really you can lean into it, lifetimes of past where they were not fully acknowledged in their power, some
Mhm.
in really quite like disenfranchised, and quite frankly almost all of them were. We were talking about gay men, we're talking about Black men and women, we're talking about minorities. Like this is very few people in that population were typical rich white Americans. They were the disenfranchised people. And so I think there was a lot of like ancestral history around that and really pain on our land in which we've shown up in many ways with these sorts of populations in the past that they were seeking on a soul level to
Mhm.
expand, explore, and teach. I had a really powerful moment when I was there with this African American man, and because my role was the one going into the jail and interviewing people. Usually when the folks came into the center, I had a special bond with them because like they were the first one I met them, and they were like, "You're the one that got me out of jail," and I was going to remind them, "You got yourself out of jail because your soul is ready for healing." But they had this bond with me, and there's this one particular guy who was very ordinary with me and very angry with me, and I was like, I don't
Mhm.
know what's going on with him. Some kind of transference there. And
Mhm.
we were in one group therapy session, and he sort of broke down, and he's like, you know I just want you to know that I'm super grateful to you for helping me get out of jail, but I'm also really furious and angry at you. And I was like, okay, like I can hold space for that. Like, what's up? And he said, I'm a Black man and you're a white woman, and I needed a white woman to get me out of jail.
Mm.
Like, and it, just like an arrow through my heart. It was just like, oh,
Mm,
like the system and the way the system is created and the archetypes of that continuing to play forward. I just learned so much
mm,
about racism, about poverty, about hierarchy, about the
yeah,
way people are classified and labeled and judged, and how they assume those archetypes because of the system and then have to live them. And I was like, I was so educated there in so many powerful ways. But
mm,
I could feel that ancestral clearing and opportunity for healing and growth that all those individual clients were going through when I was there, and learned much more about it after, even in the record.
yes, what a powerful journey. That part, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
then for those souls that walked with you, we all know we have the soul contract of, how we support each other, in this lifetime. You help them realize, but also you're learning what's the system like, right? Now you
Oh
there's
my
a
gosh.
different
Yeah.
group of clients right now, but that base, I will always say you need to went through more intense one. Then later you can expand your more because you have the foundation of love, compassion, right? If you can have love, compassion for those people, a lot of us, like I come to you every 4 or 5 months. We're talking about different wrong thing, but the thing is like you can hold so much, more bigger, wide depths of space for other
Yes.
people who come to you. So
Yeah.
I think I just want to honor that because we are going to the second half of this because I have a lot of not my question but the energy in the field. But I want you to kind of open a little bit is how you stumble into not stumble. That's nothing stumble, but from right opening your spirituality, go through training Reiki, dance things, do all kinds of workshop. But how do you get to like where do you heard this name Akashic? And also I people ask me what is Akashic Record. I try to my definition because what's my understanding. But you things you're gonna teach the class as well, and you've been
Yes.
channeling doing Akashic Record for 12 years, right? So 12,
Yes.
14 years. So you give us a easy to understand definition of Akashic Records and how did you
Yes.
get in
Great.
connect with that, right? Yes.
Sure. So the Akashic Record, probably the most easy description is it's a spiritual 12 dimensional library that holds or houses all the information about your soul, ancestry, and location, geography, from any time and space on this planet. And there's an Akashic field that surrounds all dimensions of time and space. So you can jump through different dimensional spaces and connect to the Akashic Record of Pleiades or of Arcturus or of Earth and all these other places. So it's a library. It's, I think I used to describe it always as a library. And now I realize I can just say it's the internet because that's also a very similar way to describe it,
Google,
right? You can
right?
just
You
tap
didn't put
in,
it.
you can Google Gina. And then all of a sudden all of her information, all her files download into my brain. So yeah, so that's probably this distinct description. I've always had lots of interest in understanding why I'm different in my, my family, and I'm so spiritual, and I've always had curiosity around some of my family dynamics. So I saw when I was up, of course, in Kripalu, I had a study with one of the teachers who said, "Oh, there's somebody in South Florida who does this energy healing training that I was learned in, and integrated energy therapy." And I said, "Oh, cool. So I'll just do the part 2 training with her." So of course she's in my town. The irony of that, up in Massachusetts, this lady's in my town. So I go and I take this part 2 energy training with her, and I
Yeah,
liked it. It was good. I don't love getting into people's energy fields physically as
yeah,
much because I'm so sensitive. I was picking up on all the things and having a hard time with it. So I did take the training, and she's like, "Here's my calendar of other events." And of course, there's Akashic training on the list. And I said, "Oh, what's that?" She's like, "Well, you can learn about your past lives and about your family karma." And I was like,
you're like
"Sign
yes.
me up for that." Like, I need to do a lot of work in that department. So I went to her training, and it was like one-on-one and in her office, and she opens your record with you. And as soon as I learned how to open the record, I almost felt like I was drunk or something. It's like the energy was very like wavy and like I was in some etheric space, like some maybe like molasses space kind of thing. And then all of a sudden I started seeing pictures in my mind and feeling things in my heart center. And it was just, I was blown away at how much color and accessibility I had and access to. So she helped me through that training, and pretty much for the next 2 years, I did every training that she offered because I was so curious about it. And it got so much easier, even with other people. When we were reading the records of other people, I'd open the records and I'd see this whole scene and I'm just coloring it and writing it and all the things. And so, it just became very natural to me. And of course, in the history of time through my own record, I've realized that I've done this sort of thing before, right? Our soul knows the things that it knows. We have muscles that we awaken to things that we've honed in other lifetimes. But I never, ever thought that it would be a business. It was never a business. It was like, I'm a social worker over here. And then I'm like a spiritual nerd over here. And I'm just like doing my work, chop wood, carry water, heal myself. That's all you can heal. Like I was really just, that's the world I wanted to live in. And then I like needed a lot of therapy at some point because I had like my life imploded and I was like, seeking all these trainings. I was like, I need to find a therapist, I'm like looking for a therapist and like couldn't find a therapist who was like metaphysical or open or spiritual in any way. So I like needed to talk about that stuff. So I started realizing like, I bet you there's like more people out there who are like me, who want a therapist who can do different things. So I decided one day to like create a website. And I thought it was like the most dangerous thing ever. Like I was going to be called by the Florida State Licensure Board for my mental health license. And they're going to be like, we're watching you and we're going to come rip your license away from you. Like I had this like fear about the man,
Yeah.
But it was the 4th of July. I published my website and I ran outside in the rain and I danced, and it was like, I don't care what happens to me. I want to do it and I'm doing it for me. And if I don't have any clients, fine, but I'm expressed in the world. I'm myself in the world and that's enough.
So
There's more after that, but I want to pause and give you space to.
You always answer the questions I already want to ask. Serious, no joking.
Okay.
That's my, but that's beautiful. I want to circle back is, you see, sometime now in my life right now, I realize sometimes I was looking for certain things. I ask people, do you think that would be something like this vibe doing this thing? That Gina, that's not something we have here. And to the point after I asked enough questions, I was like, you know what? If we don't have it, you know what? I'm gonna create this kind of vibe because I want to go to certain dance, but not alcohol, involved, but certain music, certain vibe. You cannot find this place. You either go to the bar, right? Which I'm not interested. Go to, be drunk people. Nothing wrong with drunk people, but I prefer not to in a different setting.
Sure.
They're like, Gina, it was a place you want. It's not here. Then I looked at them. I was like, you know what? I bet I can find a place that creates this vibe, and I'm gonna invite you guys coming. So you want looking for the therapist to talking to, then you realize that you are that person that people probably just like you are looking for somebody to talk to, but you got to start. And then, the fear part is real because even, I don't know how many years ago, that probably 10, 12 years ago, but who's that in our group? I forgot her name. She was talking about that when she was doing her, more traditional, you have license thing and you try to incorporate other things. You're afraid people will come to your practice, take your license away. This is real. And then, you were talking about 10, 12 years, a total different story as right now.
And I didn't have a great experience in, and I'm certain now that the reason why I didn't have a great experience in that world as I stepped in is because I wasn't fully confident in that vibration in myself. That's how it works, right? We manifest what we are, not what we want, right? So I knew I had to be this person, but I was scared how it would be received. And I knew I was definitely out of the box. And I started looking for office space. And I remember calling around to different people and they said, come for the interview. And me, Capricorn ascendant, right? Dressed nice, talks nice, all the things, right? The bullet points. I'm so grounded. Look at me. I have it all together. So I shared all of the things and I kind of used like loose words around the Akashic Record. I just said like, I do metaphysical healing or something. So she's like, okay, well, you sound like great. We can have you come in our office. You can rent space from us. And I was like, yes, I like went home. I was like, I'm doing it, And then like it's 6 a.m. the next day, I got a text message from them, 6 a.m. and it said, we looked at your website. We don't want someone like you in our office. A charlatan like you. And I mean, this was probably even worse than the mountain cry in Kripalu. This was like it was like the things she said to me were the things I was most afraid to hear. And I let it all, I surrendered all that. There was so much fear and so much shame, really shame. and sadness. You know, it was like I had zero credibility in the world of my discipline, my licensed discipline in social work at that time. But I had a ton of credibility in the metaphysical world because I was licensed. So I couldn't get buy-in in that world. And I think like that moment was just a pivotal, necessary teaching tool for me, because when I really let all of that shame be seen in myself, it just left me like a ghost that was never meant to be part of my form. And I became kind of a badass after that. I was like, okay, all right. I heard the worst thing that someone could say. I'm still alive, right? I'm still alive. No, right? No one's knocking on my door to take my license away. Look at me. I'm too big for my britches, you know? And so like something happened where I sort of said, like, I have two choices here.
Yeah.
I can like conform and be silent and be what people want me to be, or I can just be my damn self and accept that that's not for everybody and not take it personally. And I chose the latter. And literally as soon as that shift happened in me, I was still looking for office space, and I got a call from someone that was about an hour away from my home. And she said, we have a space. And I remember on the phone, I was like, well, just so you know, I channel the Akashic Record, which means I talk to aliens and deceased loved ones and ascended masters. Just so you know, that's what I do. If you're not cool with it, no problem, but I'm not going to waste my time driving down there. And she said, that sounds amazing. Please come to the office. We would love to refer our clients to you.
Wow.
And just like that, I cleared it from my system because I fell into a place of acceptance within myself.
Yes, that's exactly, because the first one is literally your fear, your shadow is confronting you. You got to bring to the awareness is like, shit, that's really gonna happen. Okay, then happen. Then you're like, okay, I'm gonna warn you. Like people now taking my session, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna warn you, because I try to warn people after session, but after session they already in this, the state they don't really listen to me anymore because they are still processing. I was like, okay, now what I do is, okay, before you get your session with me, you haven't paid yet, so I'm gonna warn you. Your life is gonna change the upside down. Just let you know. And you're gonna come out. You're gonna hear me, but you're not really hearing me. And you will go into this state of very raw. You're gonna cry things, but I'm gonna warn you, because I feel like when I warn people later, they don't realize, because they just walk out. They go about a day, and they just later 2 weeks or 3 weeks later they tell me, I was like, did I think I mentioned after a session, right? They're like, you say that? Now I warn people ahead of time, hey, if this is not what you're looking for,
right?
Or maybe we do different thing, because now I'm offering 3 months this healing journey with me instead of one-on-one session, because I realize they want to dive deep, but somebody will come to me, they're like, I'm ready for the deep transformation. I want you to really understand, what do you mean by really transformation? Real transformation means a lot of things are gonna fall apart. Real transformation means a lot going through a lot of tears, crying. Things need to fall apart to build up. So if you're not ready for that, let's do one-on-one, because that will be easier, so warn people. So that's beautiful. Love it. Okay, now in the last 12 years, right, by like working with Akashic, this field, and I'm kind of curious of how do you also channel Akashic Records, say, hey, how I balance, things you offer? Because of course, if through taking one-on-one clients now, obviously I know you 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years through for service, Sam, right? And I had a reading with you, but that time I think you just started the Rasa Healing, the network, right?
Yes.
Yes, that one.
Yes.
Yeah, so how it can kind of guide you through your journey is like, okay, this is time, you need to have the networking instead, because I don't think you are lacking of any one-on-one client. You are booked. I need to book 3 months ahead.
That's right. Yes. So. That makes me feel very stressed. That's currently true. Yes. I mean, they are always in my head. They talk to me through clients, who are they? Akashic record keepers, spiritual guides and team, right? For me and for the clients I serve. And, they've been telling me for a while, like the way that I've been working doesn't work anymore, right? Like that I need to be working in a collective. I need to be working in a group. I need to diversify. They want me to take a lot of the systems that I have learned and taught clients and to put them in a format that's accessible to everyone, like in a course platform. And I've been a bit stubborn along the way. I would say, aren't we all as humans?
Yeah.
But they remind me, right? They remind me, and I know how to feel into when I'm feeling energy rich or when I'm feeling heavy and I'm suffering. So
Mhm.
I've been slowly making that transition, and I'm going to be really, they have recently put a new thing in my head, which is like training folks in the Akasha and a very specific type of Akashic healing that's
Mhm.
Plutonian, right? So addressing the Pluto themes in everyone's lives. So that's going to be, I'm excited about that. I'm working on that content now, but my evolution has gone from individual session, 1 day a week, an hour away, in my office, the
Mhm.
one that I got the office for,
Yeah.
to like, now I can't, not everyone wants to stay in that office. So now I need to get another office that's closer to my other house. So then I had 2 offices, and then I
Wow.
had people coming that were like not in Florida, from
Yeah.
out of state. So then I had to do a virtual practice. So it just sort of kept adding on, and then really right in the last 2 years, right before I had my daughter, they said time for group
Yes.
now,
Yes.
time to expand that horizon. So I've just been following their lead, and I'm sure it's going somewhere where I have yet to imagine, but I like to follow the leader of the Akasha. They know best, so I'm committed to being courageous even when it's scary, and to make some of those changes.
Yes. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing those. And
Yeah.
do you mind in the next maybe 10, 15 minutes we open the records that I have some
Yes,
questions for collective because
totally.
the people I'm working with right now, all why I offer my 3 months healing journey is because I realize people need more support. And I like freedom. Finally, as a space that I can travel, I can do my thing, I can do one-on-one
Yes,
session, no attachment, no, things. Now they're like, hey,
beautiful.
Gina, you gotta offer those 3 months journey. And I freak out. I was like, you know me, I'm either from 0 to 10 type thing. I don't do it, I don't do it. I do it, I think everything gonna like I see myself have no time, nothing. And I was like, no. When people mention that, well, no, that's not me. Then they are like, Gina, why you need to take things so extreme? Like you don't have to go to 0 clients or to take 10, people for 3 months journey. You can take 3. You can take 4.
Yeah,
I said, that's a good idea. But I want to maybe you can tap in because that's if I feel called to offer those things, and I also personally I feel a lot of intensive waves. But since we are more aware, so you are big wave come in, you were like, okay, this is the point I need to hop on because otherwise I'm gonna get flipped, right? Because the wave come in,
yes.
you don't know how to navigate the wave. You're gonna put you down underneath the currents, and until you stand up, you don't even know where you're at. So I'm very aware because I ride it with the wave, but a lot of people are under the wave right now.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, that's like swimming, like get me out, give me some air. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, but also as a, some of those messages are for the light worker star seeders that being people they already being in service, right? We all in service, but let's say we are more aware and like myself
That's
wise.
right.
But I've always called myself as a newbie. Like, why I call newbie is like, oh, finally I kind of strip a lot away. I still have a lot of healing work to do, but they are in different layers. If
Yes.
they don't show me, I cannot work with that. Like I don't know, right? So finally strip away decent amount of layers. Now I step in and I was like, because we as Starseed Lightworks, whatever you call it, we have a mission. Like you're like, you have a dream, right? And I finally
Yes.
I'm in my element. But then I'm still a newbie in the element in this lifetime. It's like,
Right.
how can I sustain my energy to support more people without burning myself? That's a serious question. I was like, because before I cannot get here, I don't even know what it mean
Right.
to be an element serving people. Now I'm in
Right.
my element serving people. Every door is opening up. I was like, I wish I have 3 Gina here so I can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's powerful, like to have a strong need to serve and the duty to serve, and like the energy multiplying or magnifying and being able
Yeah,
to keep up with that and know how to keep up with that. I totally hear that. I can relate to that.
yeah,
Cool. So I'll open the record, and then you can ask some questions. We can
yeah,
start with that or whatever you have. I have a feeling that they're going to call in some collectives as well. Usually when we do some general messages, I hear from these other governing bodies. So we'll hold space for that. I'm going to do a prayer really quick.
yes,
And once I open the record, I'll let you know. And there may be like a slight intro before the questions.
yes.
From the point of light within your soul, God's shield of love and truth surrounds you permanently, immersed in God's pure essence of love, light, truth, and grace. Masters, teachers, and loved ones of you channel their wisdom through me. Grants of permission, I enter Akasha, God's light, truth, and grace. Make known the unknown, reveal the concealed. I assist you to bring the hidden to light. Just one moment. We are the Akashic Record Keepers. We're also the Pleiadian Council. We are the Council of Light. We step forward to honor support for all light workers on this planet who are listening to this message through this podcast and through these souls and the teachings that they offer into the world. We wish you to know you are loved. We wish you to understand that there is an alchemy happening on the planet right now. There is change happening on the planet right now. Things are moving. Energy's evolving away from a acquiesced and sort of succumbed blind faith society where you say yes to everything, and to a society where we begin to question, where we begin to intellectualize who we are and what makes sense, and to be different and to disrupt and to go our own way and to be creative, dear ones, to come up with systems that feel aligned. You will know that you are in a season of life that is most auspicious for you when you are not complying, when you are not just doing what you are told, but instead you are doing what your heart wants to do, that you are being mostly creative and you are feeling energized and heart center. Pay attention to that, dear ones. You are going to be called and asked to make some change. It's going to trigger your Chiron wounds. It's going to trigger your fears ancestrally. So lean in with mindfulness, lean in with perhaps one step at a time, but see the truth in yourself. See that there are things that need to evolve in how you do things, specifically in your systems. Many of us on the planet have attachment to fear around material, or attachment to approval seeking in people. And this prevents us from being more wildly airy. They acknowledge that you are a soul, and many of your listeners are souls of interest and change in a very airy sort of way, which is quite beautiful. Like ready to take on new things, ready to say yes to new things. They believe this is the season we need to be in. There's going to be, they acknowledge a lot of retrogrades coming up as well. And as such, pay attention to what hits the windshield. They acknowledge us driving and like, it's a beautiful sunny day. And then all of a sudden there's like, you know, a fly on the windshield. They say, be careful and pay attention to what hits your windshield, because whatever hits your windshield or whatever enters your life and interferes with your life right now is an important dynamic or issue of the past that may need to be transmuted, or that wants to be integrated as medicine more so.
Yes.
They're available for questions.
Beautiful. Thank you. So the first question, through the Unity Through Diversity, and I made a YouTube channel. And a couple months ago, I made this random video about third eye opening. And it went crazy. And everybody was now basically asking me about all third eye thing. I was just basically sharing my third eye. I had a, symptom or whatever you call it. So I was, this is different layer of third eye opening. So I just shared mine. So I have so many people asking me third eye thing. So I want to maybe whoever can step forward to clarify a little bit of because people are so fixated on want to open their third eye. To me, I know that you cannot force it. When it's ready, it's ready. So for people are going through the third eye opening, is there any certain messages that they give to those people, and also other symptoms along with third eye opening? Because people think, oh, third eye opening is just third eye, but third eye opening is the whole series of all the chakras realignment to me.
That's right. Thank you. We are the Akashic Record Keepers. We are present to answer this question. We'd like to speak about the timelines and why this is relevant to third eye expansion. Right now on the planet, the veil is becoming thinner. Yes. Mm-hmm. So people are starting to awaken and question what is. They want to see beyond the veil. They want to understand beyond the veil. And so as this process begins to happen, there's a consciousness that's seeking more information about it. That's why this particular video went expansive. We would say the best way to work with the third eye is to close your eyes and to breathe. I have Pleiadian stepping in, talking about this, to breathe into like a portal, seeing a portal in front of your third eye, and to breathe into that space. And that there's many methods to this. They said one of the videos that you shared was a pathway in which people, again, are craving, how do we open that? But to breathe into this portal and to hold attention there in silence and patience and observation and witness. We do not recommend practices. They mentioned like Kundalini type stuff that would be erratic, or they mentioned sometimes plant medicine does this, erratic or bold opening of third eye. They said that really it's about sitting silently. Thank you. They said sitting silently outside with your face to the sun and closing your eyes and allowing the portal to be charged by the sun, to sit in presence and to be observant, not to think, but to see, to observe. When you sit outside where you have some access to the sun, you are being charged by the great central sun, which is behind our sun. And it is illuminating and clearing not only your third eye, but your pineal gland, dear ones, which has been bogged down and infiltrated through many forms of substances on your planet, toxins. They mentioned fluoride, they mentioned EMF, they mentioned processed food, they mention television and media and all the ways in which we are cloudy in our pineal gland. So when you sit in front of the sun and you breathe and you visualize this pulsing portal and you allow the sun to help you, purify. So we think that this is an area of interest that's going to continue to expand, and that your work as well through breath, they think it could help your listeners continue to expand this.
Yes. For those that are afraid to have their third eye opening because they are start seeing something they are not to see, because I don't see, clear thinking is my strong suit. We talk about that. So I don't really see, but I know something in there. But for those folks that they can see, they are freaking out. They have contraction, right? So is there any ways how to make people's, because we are open different way, their journey be smooth and contact say, hey, you're not gonna die. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
We think that there are going to be souls who are drawn to explore the third eye, and those souls are meant to. If they're not drawn to expand, then they're not meant to. We would also say that do not be afraid of owning your power, dear ones. Do not be afraid of experiencing and feeling your power when you are connected to the one source. So we do think working with a prayer around, I'm connected to one source, I am surrounded by holy light and love. I anchor my roots in deep Mother Earth as Gaia wraps me in her nurturance, and I receive what my soul is capable of receiving in this moment for my highest and best good. This would be a beautiful prayer to hold space.
Yes, I will write down later after our podcast.
I don't think I could say that again if you paid me $1 million in the exact same way. That's why recording things that come out of the Akasha, I think, is most beautiful. But that's definitely a prayer we want to kind of make sure we have and write it down.
Okay, now because this podcast, when we release, probably will be early June-ish, because so we tap into the energy a little bit, because I want people to listen to the podcast. That moment is like the energy would it be, because we only forecast, right? But we already see the trend of like the in end of April, like May, June, July. So energy, like any advice for the souls that dive into really deep in those couple months, right? What they need to pay attention to support them.
Thank you. We are the Akashic Record Keepers. We're pleased to answer this question. We believe that be prepared to take action on the issues that are being brought up through the shadow or through Pluto. So there's going to be some issues that you need to take hold of and make changes. They said through May, we're going to not only see the work that needs to be done, but we're going to have the permission to fly. And they say fly in a very Gemini kind of way. Fly and take action. And that we may not think that we're moving very fast because there'll be lots of retrogrades, but what will happen is moving in our consciousness, our awareness, moving in decision making, moving in clarity. So take action. When June comes, there's going to be a love. There's going to be a sense of home. They're referencing Cancer energy, a home where we say, I know who I am. I know what I need to work through. I've taken action on that. They said, if you delay these or you hide from them, you will experience, and this is a good note as a tool to think about, experience an increase in suffering. If suffering is very high, then this is awareness that we've missed the bugs that have come to the windshield.
Mhm.
So you can always, they said, you can always pull over the car and get out and take notice of all the bugs on your windshield. It's never too late to do that. So if you've missed them, pull over, which we say retreat,
Yes,
take
pause.
some quiet
Mhm.
time, pause, and assess and do inventory and be very honest, dear ones, with the Pluto energies knocking on your door. Be very, very, very open about that.
Love that. That's good. No, that's what I use different language to share with people. Is like it's not this. If you miss this train, it's okay. But
Right.
the next time will be more intense because you have more bugs on you, right? You cannot see. You will lose the vision because. But you always
Yes.
can. But it's never too late. That's the thing. It's never too late. But you just need to. You
Never.
probably need to work a little bit harder on that, right?
That's right. The Akasha says we all get to the Emerald City, but do you want to go easily on a float tanning in the river, or do you want to go kicking and screaming? It's up to you.
I
We
love
all
that.
make it to the Emerald City, though.
Okay, so next one is more for myself or for those star seeds we just mentioned that we finally step into our element, being service,
Yes.
and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, but I'm also aware I'm reaching to the point. But I have this. I can't help to kind of like plug my schedule very full, and I know it's full, but somehow I still squeeze in. And I was like, Gina, why you do that? And I feeling I'm reaching to that point, but I don't want to go there. So any advice to also other
Yes.
people are there going through, they're like, okay, finally my gift, my healing, this gift is coming online. I want to serve more people, but also how to maintain our human form, right? Like in the human body. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. They are making a joke. They're saying she needs to share this answer for you and the listeners, but mostly for herself,
Yes.
right? So they're about to set me up as well here on full public display. So what I hear is they said what's not happening enough with light workers is to recognize the shift between third dimensional and fifth dimensional time and space. Third dimensional form of time and space is here are the hours that
Yes.
I have in the day, and here's how everything works. And because our time and speed is increasing, because veil is thinner, because frequency is higher, we are actually in a third dimensional time loop, feeling like we're chasing a truck that we're not going to catch. So if you feel that way, there's not enough hours in the day, I'm adding all these things in, I'm trying to fill it all in, but there's no time. They said that's a good example of almost adhering to third dimensional time and space versus fifth dimensional time and space. We will teach you, we will share with you some tips for how to embrace fifth dimensional time and space. First and foremost, we say that this transition involves letting go of traditional timelines, insofar that you say, okay, during this week, I'd like to feel these ways. I'd like to serve in these ways. I'd like to connect in these ways. I want to feel this personal way about myself, and I want to have rest or ease, or I want to feel like I have a break here and there, or I want to feel like I serve good in people in these ways. They said it's very different than looking at a schedule. Instead, you're focusing on an energetic. So when you claim an energetic at the beginning of your week, the universe rapidly, because it's moving faster, meets you in that time intention. Also, we would say that if you yourself are not creating time that is meaningful, and instead you are creating time that creates pressure or third dimension, you are sewing that into the quantum field and magnifying that back. So if you are booking your schedule tightly, and they're like, me raise my hand, you raise your hand, all of us, then we send that message to the universe that says, this is how we wish to work. So instead, you have to be like the author of this story or the artist of this painting and pull back or scale back intentionally. And as you preserve your time, the universe offers you more time back because you say it's valuable to you. So they think bending time and space in this way would be very useful. They wish me to give three specific concrete actions around this. So number one, as the week heads down in the tunnel, we think only about the energetic we want to create and not the time or the hours or the dates that we want to create it in. Number two, we design directly our intentions for how we wish to give time back to us in our third dimensional time loop. We want to say, like, I want this time for me. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I am going to do this. So it means you not only take time back, but you spend time wisely in the things that are energetic to you. All right, that's number two. And number three, we ask that you co-create more, dear ones. We ask that you ask us for support. So during a day or a week or a condition, you say, to the laws of third dimension, it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. I have 10 minutes to do a 30-minute drive. I don't think that's going to work out. I'm not going to make it there in time. Universe, I'm asking for your magic. I'm asking for co-creation to show me a bridge, a magical solution, and an unknown pathway to materialize my strong energetic wishes this week. Show me that path. They said, when you begin to co-create through prayer, you will see that you start getting loops that happen. They remind me of when I feel very overwhelmed. I'll say, like, it would be really nice if someone canceled because I really need to like do this thing, but then I feel guilty about that and I shouldn't do that because people need the service. And when I sort of like give myself permission to say yes to that, there'll be like someone who cancels right at the time where I need them to cancel. And then the universe opens the door for me to do what I need to do. So this like co-creation happens. They said, remember, you can't do one of these three things. You need to do all of them for you to shift from third dimensional to fifth dimensional time and space. We hope that has been helpful to you.
That's very helpful. And actually, something I'm already doing without I'm awareing, but now I'm aware of those three things. I was, oh, but the first one, the feeling of what I want for next week instead of how I schedule look like. That's a big thing among the other two, because the other two I'm already kind of like, co-create. I was like, hey, somebody, do you want to play with me? I'm inviting a 17 years old girl to do a dance event with me. I was like, hey, what's your idea? Let's co-create, things. I was like, I'm your age, I'm your mother's age, but I don't see you as a 17 years old girl, by the way. So let's play. Put your idea in. And also, as a podcast, she was like talking. I was like, hey, I had an idea. I think I shared it with you before. I know this podcast is meaningful co-creating for other people, but they also told me that I need to start first, because if people don't see what I want to create or what they want to create, nobody will think that's better, right? So I was like, hey, if you want to be one of the co-hosts to interview the people your age for their story, because that was one of my vision in the future. But hey, if you want to, let's talk about this. And I do need to co-create with people who editing those videos, because of course that's not my strong suit. My strong suit is talk,
Yeah. Right? Know your strengths and own them proudly. Yeah.
I know. I was like, hey, I know I'm the throat. I'm not trying to be the brain. But I don't need to be the brain to connect with the brain. I have the pulse, right? So I really understand also, okay, I need to step away for the things that I'm not good at it, but I still can pull things together because, I'm very good at that thing.
Well, the Akasha wants me to just add one more thing that you said that was powerful, that they think needs to be emphasized for people that are listening, which is the magic of creation and co-creation in the Aquarian era, which is the current energetic we now exist in, must involve collaboration, interdependence, and collectivism. Must.
Collaboration, definitely.
We cannot get there in a Leo state of mind. We must get there in an Aquarian state of mind, which is when we work together, we win.
Oh, that's a good question now, since you're talking about, because I put a healers community group together, because you know me, I have a beautiful intention. When I think the same thing, I'm already there. I'm already in my mind, is already happened. Everybody's co-creating. Everybody's collaborating peacefully, open heart, right? You know me. I'm like, However, is there any message for those folks that now I have over 120 people in this, we call Tri-Cities Healers group. But along the way, I realized after 3-4 meetings, I'm really, okay. I feel people, sometimes there will be jealousy, right? Sometimes the confusion. Sometimes they're like, oh, you are higher than me, lower than me. I was like, okay, universe or creator, whoever, because they pushed me to start this group, and I did. And I was like, is there any, because now we are talking about collaboration, co-creation, because that's the reason why I even started as a healers community. And I know other people are doing that too. So is there any like advice or message for folks, we try to co-create, but we are actually breaking through a lot of our ancestral trauma?
Well, yes, indeed. They wish to mirror that the barriers to co-creation and collaboration is the trauma of hierarchical survival. You see, our ancestors were taught and actually existed. And when they say ancestors, they say as recent as your mother. Or as recent as our mother. We're born in a world where when you succeed, you climb the ladder of survival. And if you don't succeed, then you fall down the rung and may not survive. And so competition is
Mhm.
born out of survival.
Yes.
There is an unlearning process that must happen with this, and that requires teachers to hold space
Mhm.
for interdependent conversation where there perhaps the wand of leadership continues to transfer to different people, to which a strong intention of collaboration is part of the mission. That there is conversation that's transparent about the purpose of such groups.
Mhm.
We are finding that there will be more trauma released through these people regarding hierarchical survival before there is peace. Yes, because the
Mhm.
trauma must leave the form and through the people in order for us to find a new normal. And we wish to remind you and all healers that are here on this planet that we are the bridge builders
Mhm.
of the new paradigm of the Aquarian era. Bridge builders mean that we are not fully actualized in this timeline, in this form, and regarding that timeline has been manifested already on other dimensions, but in this form, in this time and space, in the present moment, we are the builders. And we sometimes will want to see the reality of that outcome because we already have manifested it on another plane.
Yeah.
But those who are with us in this moment may not see that, or still need to release some karma in order to achieve that. So remember to just continue to be patient with the bridge building process and to lean into transparency around the awareness that trauma is the barrier here.
Thank you. That helps so much. And I'm in the process, and I was like, okay, I'm meant to be part of this, meant to be the person to start with, but I felt those different feelings, different energetic things. And I was like, how can
Yes,
I stay centered, stay grounded, and also hold a space for other people and move as collective forward? That's something. That's a challenge. I was like, that's why I don't know
yes,
what I get myself into it. But not me, but I accept a calling. I tried to avoid that for 2 years. I was like, no,
yes.
I don't want
Well,
to.
I hear there's more people need to be involved, right? That you can help co-create with. And I think
Yes.
that's just in the spirit of that group. That so you pass the wand a bit, and there's different roles that people take on to help hold that mission. Because they said when there's a large group, you're going to need a lot of energy stand-ins. They said just like there are people on the planet now who are not playing a leadership public role around soul conscious advancement, but are advanced themselves, and just by their presence they hold space for the rising of the collective. So there may need to be some of that in these sorts of groups to help lift the energy of those who are still working through traumas ancestrally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a last one. It's still for the
Sure.
collective. I had this vision. Because you see things not from nowhere. It's already, like you said, it's already happened in the other dimension.
Yes.
So the picture I see was like, say, the community I'm creating here, community you creating there, right? We all
Creating.
co-create and creating our version of a community. But I do see at certain points those community they're gonna also co-create. Like we are co-creating
Yes.
our lower, I mean where I'm at, but also as globally, those community gonna co-create, right? So that's what I
Yes.
see. But I'm not saying, hey, this lifetime I might not gonna live for this vision I see. But the point of this podcast a lot of time is no time and space. Is we want to spread this type of the vision. Is, hey, the how to say, the role you are in currently right now is just the small web, spider web that you only can even like comprehend and perceive, but
Yes.
there is a big web of all there that you are a part of, this big web that you couldn't even see, right?
Yes.
So for those, because I know there are some leaders out there, they have this vision, and I think they are in the totally different process as we are trying to co-create a local community. They have those big visions because I try to get the messages further of like anything to tell those people like have big dream out there. They might be,
Yes.
yeah.
We are the Council of Light, and we wish to speak to all those on this planet who have an awakened heart of light, which we would say in many and almost all the souls is awakened in some capacity. The collective consciousness is higher than ever before on the planet, and we wish to guide you directly to the types of work that we feel are in resonance with your soul frequency, and how to know that. Yes, this is important. How to know where to serve and how to show up, how to serve. So we will give you these they said there's conditions or lists. Yeah. So the first one is, where in your soul do you feel strong mission Where is there a strong mission or passion to contribute? There's an awakening there that needs to be acknowledged. Sometimes we as humans think only about mission as in same conversation as career and money. These do not exist in the same world, okay? So your mission and your passion may or may not be your career for money to take care of third dimensional needs. So pay isolative attention to that passion and mission. Number two, you must participate in areas of contribution where you feel emotionally neutral or clear. When you are emotionally charged, you are experiencing karma of your own traumas of past lifetimes. You see, the medicine and alchemy that comes from a trauma integrated is someone who has the wisdom that sort of organically spills out of them without ego and without pain. And so when you show up with this neutrality, you can hold space as a leader for others who are not able to. If you go emotionally charged into a group that's emotionally charged, what happens is an emotionally charged sandwich that just keeps multiplying. And that's not really neutralizing, healing, or transforming. We do believe that if you feel emotionally charged, there are outlets that you can serve yourself and others by working with transmutation, but there's an ownership and accountability that you must take for that. If you go to lead in an environment where you are emotionally charged, you are very likely to be triggered by the ego or by the wound itself and be unable to lead with clarity. So lead in ways that are organic, where you notice an emotionally neutral space, where you can hold space for things that don't feel aligned without losing your marbles, where you can hold space in a way where you're like, yes, I feel this and I know that pain and I know the wisdom around that pain and I can sit with you in this. Yes, so that's very important. Next, they say you must be clear in your connection to what you are observing. So when you are observing what spirit is bringing to you, be clear about that. Like they show me repetitive integration or repetitive supports, almost like you keep getting dropped these hints to do this thing, and the universe keeps asking you for it, or people are asking you for it. They said pay attention to that, because this is ways in which you're being called to lead on the planet. That's very important for your soul. They said there's one moment. Thank you. They said when you think about like your heart's greatest wish, what makes you feel most happy and most alive, a legacy that perhaps you want to leave, or a way you'd like to see the planet evolve, this is something that you want to be participating in, you want to be involved in. And very often than not, this means that you'll be a student of that work yourself. So you will be someone learning and as someone who's healing yourself in a lot of these ways. And a lot of times when we pay attention to those aspects, we may not be leading overtly there yet because we're still working on that medicine ourselves, but pay attention to those pieces, because there's, as a student ourselves, we are craving knowledge for a purpose, for a larger share in sometime in the future. We hope this has been service to you.
Yes, I'm gonna write this down, listen to the recording and write down and share as small video. So thanks for the Akashic Records keeper and the guys.
Yes.
If you want to close it, we can close that first, because I do have some one or two questions for you.
Yes, I'm going to thank the guides and teachers for being present today. They honor us deeply. They believe this message will be shared in really beautiful, massive ways, and they are blessed to serve through both of us. I hope.
Oh, beautiful. Now, back to human Candice. For your creation, right? For your creation. I know you are, since 2 years ago, you are bringing all kinds of your creation ideas. And two questions. Question number one is how you balance your time. I know you're a mother, right? You have a not newborn, but still new girl,
Yes, 1 year old.
1 year old, and also being a wife, and you also have how old was your?
My son is 6.
Yeah. Oh, 6. My Ruby just turned to 6 yesterday.
Oh, how fun! Yes.
So you have a 6-year-old and 1 year old, and then be a mom and a wife, and you also bring all kinds of creation. Like how you balance. Share a little bit secret with all the mom friends out there. A lot.
Oh, goodness.
Right?
I think I'm still learning that. I'm certainly in progress. I'm no master around that at all. But I will say that I surrender to what is on my plate much more than I used to. I control less. I surrender to what needs my attention. And I'm aware that this is a long game. This isn't a short game. I'm aware that in this season of my life, I need to be really present and nurturing in these ways for my children. And that in the future, my time and space will shift. And I have a trust and a surrender in that, and that bigger creation can come through during those times. Or that mad scientist, like the way that I like to work, where I'm sort of in the room and I'm hours away, you know, eating rice cakes and typing content. Like those things can't happen when you have to nurse a baby and you have to pick up someone from school and you have a bunch of clients and, oh, someone needs to eat dinner tonight. Like maybe we should all eat dinner tonight, you know? So I recognize this surrender is very important. I recognize the long game. You know, I also get a sense that my mission, in order for me to feel happy and rich on the planet, is to be plugged into my mission. So I make time for the mission, even if it's a small amount of time each day, where I'm dreaming about the things I wish to contribute or create, and or I'm journaling about it. When my daughter's napping, I have 30 minutes, like Instagram post, you know, journal all the things I want to say about this, and really giving myself the time that I need during the day to be feeding my larger why. It's definitely not my full expression of that. And my goodness, I can't wait to see myself in the day where I'm fully running. I know that I'm capable of that. And right now I'm manifesting quite a lot just in my little chunks of time. But I think that the big feedback is there's nowhere to rush off to. We're where we're supposed to be, and surrender to where you are and make the magic happen how you can.
Yeah, because it's so beautiful to witness you, you know, because I have two girls, right? You know how my past couple years, but to see
Yes,
you running everything, balance everything is an art. So
very
let's talk
hard.
about your
Yes,
creation, because we haven't really introduced, you know, all the beautiful, you know, some ideas that I know and I was part of it, and some part I know I will be part of it. So will you give us a full like a rundown of like what are things you're offering and how people can work with you as a one-on-one or as a group, right? Because I
yes.
feel that you are offering so many different things right now. So
Yes, thank you. So I do offer individual sessions, and very soon in the future, we'll be offering individual sessions as sort of a gateway to have access to like larger collective group connection. So there is a space to still step into individual sessions now, and there's quite a wait list for that, but that's available. You can access that. And I'll share my social platforms at the end so you know how to contact me. But that's one way. But I've heard in the Akasha as well, they want me to create and share the systems that have been so healing for me. So I do have a lot of courses around this. One namely is called Energetic Hygiene and Psychic Protection, which it was an issue for me almost all my life, not picking up the energy of other people and transference. So I've developed a really lovely course around that. It's very detailed. You keep the content forever. I have both like robust courses and mini courses, all different sort of pricing and lengths to kind of meet people's needs. But that one's a really big one that I come across a lot for people who are empaths or people who are psychically sensitive, who are struggling with sleep, who are struggling with transference, who want tools and like concrete ways to learn how to navigate that. That course is already live and active. I also have a sacred forgiveness course, which is about learning to forgive yourself and others. And this is a specific ritual journal practice that's very precise. I used to do this in individual session, and now it's accessible to everyone. And very soon, spirit guides and connecting to spirit guides and how to communicate through channel will be coming out as a course. In the future, I will be unleashing Akashic Training, Akashic Training 4-part module. Learn to read for yourself, do deeper ancestral healing for yourself, learn to read for others, and learn to read as a healer or helper on the planet. So there will be a certification process for all of that, and it will be live course. So it will be some content that we watch online, and then some live connection where we practice and we all go into everybody's record at the same time. You get paired up with someone. It's powerful. It's going to be, there's a whole new prayer that they've channeled through me that they want me to use for this. That's very deep and powerful. So I'm excited for that. And also karmic parenting and ancestral healing used to be a live course that I've done in Florida, but I'm making that now accessible as well on the platform. Those are all the courses and the teaching and training that I'll be doing. There'll be some of the courses will be available 24/7, and then some of these other courses like the Akashic Training and ancestral clearing and karmic parenting will be sort of unveiled at different times of the year that we can hop into. I will also have groups. I know you we're part of the Lightworker Mastermind. So I have a membership group for people who want to be healers and contributors on the planet that involves a once monthly live Akashic channeling that also involves like a training and seminar that's channeled by the Akashic Record. It's about personal development so that we can be more in alignment with our purpose and our public facing lives. So it's for people who are wanting to do that healing in a direct way. We also do retreat twice a year around the country and meet and connect and practice all the juju and magnify our juju that we want to do. There's also another group coming, an intensive group that will be once a week group, will be an option for folks who can't have individual sessions, and they will be doing Akashic channeling with me once a week as a group.
Oh, wow.
So those are all the things that are down the pipeline, one by one by one. They're going to come to manifestation in all divine timing, I'm sure.
That's what I'm talking about. After you see, you probably spend 5 minutes to share with us all the things you do. That's why watching you unfolding, living your life is an art. That's the beauty of like every aspect, even though you feel like, oh, I still haven't unleashed all my thing yet, but look at that, how beautiful, like it's so many flower petals on it, right?
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. And what I forgot to say that I think is really important is that, like, you know, sometimes I don't stop to like acknowledge, right? Like how far I've come. It's like that Capricorn thing, like just keep swimming, you know, you just keep going, you know, but I'm just really grateful for everything that's manifested on the planet and following my feed. And I'm grateful to serve in this way. And the Rasa Healing Network is like a free platform. So please, you know, to all your listeners, join it. You can join right off my website, which is rasahealingservices.com. And it's a free social educational platform for people for spiritually hungry people to find community and to find safety. So it's a beautiful space, and there's lots of free events going on there all the time.
Well, like I said, I only need to add one more thing because you already mentioned your website, you already mentioned your network. You can also find Candice on the Instagram, right? It's Rasa Healing, right?
Yes, right. Yes, Instagram Rasa Healing. That's it.
Yeah, so you see, you always answer the questions that I yet to ask. That's the beauty of the thing. So let me close this, not close this thing, but I want to say thank you so much for this beautiful, an hour or so with channeling, with your life journey, and witness you, thanks for giving me a chance to reflect back, say how beautiful the work you are doing, you're creating. It's like, I was like, well, here, all the flower petal. So Candice, thank you so much. And for the people who are in the future, I have no idea when you're gonna, have access to this podcast or the audio and video part.
Yes.
But we want to let you know that you are loved and we love you. We see you. You are here for a reason, and the reason you maybe not know yet, but you are on your way to find out this reason. So thank you for tuning in this episode of Unity Through Diversity, and I will see Candice later, and I will see you guys in a week or two. Love you.